This week is being observed as National Physical Activity Week, and it provides an ideal opportunity for all to kickstart their plans for adopting a healthy lifestyle. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson, and in today's show, we look at how the government is creating a healthy society through the implementation of climate change adaptation and mitigation strategies and in the development of a medical tourism industry. But first, we get things rolling with the news.
Landowners, attorneys at law, real estate agents, listen up. The National Land Agency, NLA, has increased fees for certain land transactions. This is the first time fees are being increased in over 20 years as the NLA works to serve you even better. Applications for first registration and the transfer of property for value will be exempt from the increases. To get more information, contact the National Land Agency at 750-5263 or visit nla.gov.jm.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chizom and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, April 6. Jamaica will continue talks with Trinidad and Tobago to address the issue of Jamaicans being denied entry into that country. The reception and treatment of Jamaican citizens upon their arrival in the Caribbean country will also form part of those discussions. In a release Tuesday, Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith said her ministry was deeply concerned about those issues. She said there was great interest and frustration about the movement of Jamaicans within the Caribbean community CARICOM. Senator Johnson-Smith said she spoke with Trinidad's Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dennis Moses about the issues and steps were being taken to find solutions. The Ministry of Health has received $100,000 from one of its private sector partners to help fight the Zika virus. The money was handed over on Tuesday by Fontana Pharmacy, which also developed an educational flyer on Zika prevention. The educational flyers are being distributed throughout the company's pharmacies island-wide, while additional distribution points are being considered. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton expressed thanks to Fontana and other stakeholders who have been supporting government's intervention. The Education Ministry is addressing concerns about the Alternative Pathway to Secondary Education APPS program, assuring that the additional 2 years of schooling will only apply to students who need the support. Chief Education Officer in the ministry, Dr. Grace McLean, clarified the issue while at a JIS think tank this morning. She said high school students on APPS, which rolls out this September, will have the option to not spend the additional 2 years after completing fifth form once they have attained the required academic qualifications.
So there will be some of our students who would not have passed any of their subjects, whether it is in City and Guild, CVQ, NVQ or CSEC, or there may be some of our students who would have attained 2 subjects or 3 subjects or 1 subject and would need this additional support.
A new public education initiative will be unrolled to steer young people away from lottery scamming activities. The United States Embassy will be partnering with the Ministries of Education and National Security on the initiative.
We're going to work with the JCF in engaging a public relations firm and work at targeting the at-risk youth here. This is not a victimless crime. It's not fun. It's contributing to violence here in Jamaica, and on the other side, it's taking advantage of older, infirm people and not rich, people. So that's one thing that we're also working on. It has an educational tie-on because, of course, some of this work is going to have to be done at school.
Ambassador Moreno discussed the lottery scamming public education program with Education Minister Senator Ruel Reid during a courtesy call at the ministry on Monday. Senator Reid made it clear that his ministry was firmly committed to tackling this serious issue.
In terms of our messaging, we are going to be out there trying to steer our youth away from anything that's negative, give them better opportunities.
Minister Reid and Ambassador Moreno also discussed heightening the trafficking in persons public education intervention among the youth and expanding the program for Jamaicans wishing to study in the U.S., among other issues. The Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA, says it expects to start reviewing applications before the end of the month for licensees under Jamaica's legal ganja industry. That process was supposed to begin on April 4, but the CLA's chairman, Dr. Andre Gordon, says the transition to a new government has caused some delays in getting approval for the regulations that were developed to support this. The chairman says the draft regulations have been presented to the new minister with portfolio responsibility, Carl Samuda, who, along with the Minister of Justice, has to review and approve them for the industry to be able to commence operations. The application forms, eligibility criteria and price structure to potential licensees also require their approval. A meeting should take place shortly to review the matter. In the meantime, Minister Samuda says while it's unfortunate that the start date has to be pushed back, it is important to ensure that the regulations will facilitate an industry that is beneficial to Jamaicans. He says the industry must grow legitimate small enterprises across the country while ensuring that Jamaica remains compliant with its international obligations. In February, the Cannabis Licensing Authority revealed that 11 types of licenses would be available in the areas of cultivator, transportation, processing, retailing, and R&D. And finally, Sport Minister Olivia Grange has urged the West Indies Cricket Board, WICB, and players to find common ground on which trust and confidence can be built. She was speaking last night at the Norman Manley International Airport during a welcome home reception for Jamaican members of the West Indies men's senior cricket team, which won the World T20 Championships. Minister Grange asserted that in order to prevent the recurrence of seemingly perpetual disputes, the WICB and the players must address their issues early.
Like good parents, the West Indies Cricket Board must reposition itself in such a way that its players see the governing body as its chief guardian rather than its Achilles heel. The players too, you must be cognizant that not receiving best wishes prior to an exam doesn't mean your parents aren't caring or want you to fail.
The minister congratulated the Jamaican players, including those of the victorious women's cricket team, who returned to the country earlier today. Minister Grange said she hoped that the three-peat win of the World T20 Championships was the start of a West Indies cricket renaissance. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Terrible storms, drought, food shortages. Climate change is real. We can't stop it, but we can slow it down. Conserve water, plant trees, recycle, practice rainwater harvesting, use good agricultural practices. Contact the Climate Change Division at 906-0724 for more information.
Climate change can negatively impact our health as it may allow some diseases to spread more easily. For example, warmer temperatures can increase the risk of heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion or heat stroke. In our next feature, we learn how the Climate Change Division is leading the charge to ensure Jamaicans are ready to adapt to these changing conditions.
Warning, warning, warning! The world over is changing, and a number of the changes are as a result of the way you and I have chosen to live. From driving a car to garbage disposal, using electricity to light and cool your homes. All these activities contribute to the evolving problem known as climate change.
Climate change is happening now.
For some strange reason, Jamaica doesn't have any rainfall at all.
What I know right now is that it's a very hot summer.
The drought is killing us.
From the farmer to the housewife, climate change has no boundaries. It does not discriminate.
If I was to define climate change, I would say something like it's the long-term changes in measures of climate happening over very, very long periods of time and specifically due to human activities. So the first is, of course, things that we burn for electricity, so gas and coal and oil. And when we burn those fossil fuels, we put certain gases in the atmosphere which are known as greenhouse gases. And those greenhouse gases cause the eventual warming of the earth. And then the other one would be land use change. So, for example, when we cut down the trees and replace the trees by concrete, you know, trees are what we call a natural sink. They take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere.
At the onset, the situation might seem dismal, but if we act now, we can begin adapting to the impacts of climate change.
The school of thought is that there are really three key actions. The first is what they call mitigation. And by mitigation in the climate change context is, well, maybe we need to not put out as much greenhouse gases which are causing the problem in the first place. The second key action then is figuring out how to adapt. And adapting means learning to live within the new context that we are creating for ourselves, the new climate context. The third critical plank is always education. We have to begin to educate people about climate change.
The country has been implementing a number of climate change resilient programs since 1995, when it became party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, the main international treaty on climate change. The adaptation, mitigation, and education strategies have been reflected in the development of the Vision 2030 National Development Plan through Goal 4 under Outcome 14, Hazard Risk Reduction and Adaptation to Climate Change. The Climate Change Division has a leading role in coordinating these initiatives.
The Climate Change Division is set up to accomplish a number of objectives, and that includes improving the general awareness of the public as to what climate change is and what as a country we can all do in order to make ourselves better prepared for the likely and significant impacts.
The division has been making strides in creating awareness about climate change and each individual's role in protecting the environment.
As a country, we need to think, how can we reduce our greenhouse gas output? One obvious way is, for example, renewable energy. So to pursue renewable energy as a viable energy option.
Our main activity is to ensure that we keep whatever forests we have in Jamaica intact. And in areas that we have lost the forest is to replace it.
We have seen where our shoreline is changing. We've been doing a lot of work with replanting of mangroves, and we encourage replanting of seagrass. We have done work with establishment of coral nurseries, artificial reefs.
We have experienced firsthand and will continue to see the changes that result from climate change. It is real, and all hands have to be on board to ensure success in our mitigation, adaptation, and education strategies. With climate change, we must change.
Let's get a little breeze on this land. All right. Now let's get some bounce in the rhythm. All right. Let's get some fire on our hearts. Now that is what we call all right. Run, come, get some Jamaica.
Jamaica is home to a wealth of natural resources that provide numerous medical benefits. To capitalize on these resources, the government is driving the creation of a medical tourism industry that will provide a wide range of treatment options. Listen up to learn more.
What we are looking at is a framework that will establish Jamaica as a medical tourism destination, including how do we work with a JTB to ensure that Jamaica starts being marketed as a medical tourism destination.
The opportunity we see is in a range of different treatments: surgical treatment, medical diagnostics, dentistry. That is actually already happening. I'm sure the dentists among you will already be seeing patients from the diaspora who come down here, and while they're visiting friends and family, decide to have dental treatment. And that is certainly one of the low-hanging fruit.
Big abroad in sports, music, food. And the newest kid on the block that has the world looking to jam down is medical tourism.
Essentially moving people, and typically it's from more developed countries to less developed countries, to access healthcare at an affordable cost, but still high in quality.
Which is really about people actively traveling to another country to seek medical help or medical treatments. Now, it's not so much about people coming here and while they're here having a treatment. It's really about the whole structure of a travel industry that is set up to promote people traveling overseas. So if you want to have a hip replacement, you actually go to a travel agent in the US, usually, or in the UK or Canada, wherever, and you say, where can I have my hip replacement done? And they'll give you a list of 5 or 6 countries and say, okay, this is what it costs in these countries. So there's a whole superstructure that's set up to promote this.
The government has implemented a number of policies to spur growth in this sector. The National Steering Committee on Health and Wellness Tourism, with its secretariat based at JAMPRO, looks at accreditation, regulation, and a marketing framework for the sector. The National Standard for Spas was developed in conjunction with the Bureau of Standards Jamaica. There is a national quality infrastructure, and the Fiscal Incentives Act, a new fiscal framework introduced in 2014, provides for reduced customs and stamp duties and corporate income tax rates, as well as a list of items that can be brought into the island duty-free. These incentives are available to both recovery hotels and medical and wellness facilities. Global investors have seen the potential for medical tourism in Jamaica. International brand Hospitan built a $2.3 billion state-of-the-art facility in Montego Bay, St. James. Additionally, it's quite the norm to hear of medical missions happening in different parts of the island. The country has been ranked second on the list of most attractive countries for medical tourism based on a 2014 index.
So why Jamaica? We already have an international global presence as a tourism destination. We do have a skilled workforce, excellent doctors, excellent dentists, excellent nurses. Our labor costs here are lower, significantly lower. The proximity to the United States cannot be ignored, and that's a given. Of course, we have our natural resources. So when we talk about wellness tourism, our beaches, our spas that can be developed, advantages, of course, for a place like Jamaica to get engaged in health tourism, definitely good for the workforce, and of course, the foreign exchange.
The government will continue to promote and facilitate investments in the very lucrative medical tourism sector. Therefore, health professionals and tourism stakeholders form coalitions to help develop Jamaica as a medical tourism destination. For more on Jamaica's growing medical tourism industry, contact JAMPRO. They're based on Trafalgar Road in New Kingston. Call them at 978-7755 or 978-3337.
To make Jamaica the place of choice to live and raise families, we have to ensure that we have a healthy population, and we have to be willing to make the changes that will make this a reality. This doesn't necessarily require high doses of willpower or effort. In fact, trying too hard to change can create a lot of resistance that dampens enthusiasm. It is usually more effective to focus on specific practices that support happiness and well-being. These practices include getting regular physical exercise. It is important that you get moving regardless of age. Exercise has a powerful effect on the effects of aging and also helps decrease stress and depression. The key is to start off slowly. Find physical activities you like and do them regularly. Getting adequate sleep. A lack of restful sleep weakens our immune system, speeds up the aging process, and contributes to weight gain. We generally need about 8 hours of restful sleep each night. nourishing your body with healthy, fresh foods. To create a healthy body and mind, our food must be nourishing. Focus on eating a variety of fresh and freshly prepared foods. Your health is your wealth, so make the right choice and adopt a healthy lifestyle now.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Experiencing flu-like symptoms such as coughing, fever, or runny nose? Has it caused severe aches and pains? Is it difficult to breathe? Have you been feeling dizzy? What about diarrhea, vomiting, or dehydration? If the answer is yes, see your doctor or the nearest health center right away. These are all symptoms of the influenza A H1N1 virus. Be smart. Seek medical attention today.
Don't make diseases spread. Wash your hands with soap and water instead. Wash them regular or use a hand sanitizer. Make sure the germs them dead. Touching your eyes or your mouth or your nose. Wash your hands before you do things like those. After you use the bathroom before preparing food, come on, wash your hand them clean.
The process of creating healthy children starts even before pregnancy. After birth, however, you need to ensure you do your best to ensure your child remains healthy. One of the first steps to be taken to make this a reality is to get him or her immunized.
Jamaica's lightning speed far supersedes the tracks. From as early as its birth in 1962, the country has placed as its priority the delivery of adequate healthcare services. Of note is its outstanding immunization program. There is now a very high chance that your child will be protected against infectious, disabling, and oftentimes life-threatening diseases if he or she is fully immunized. Jamaica has been successful in eliminating a number of vaccine-preventable diseases. In 2011, the country achieved a 100% coverage for tuberculosis, 92% for poliomyelitis, diphtheria, pertussis or whooping cough, tetanus or lockjaw, hepatitis B and Haemophilus influenza type B, and 88% coverage for measles, mumps and rubella, MMR.
Globally, vaccine-preventable diseases still account for some 3 to 4 million deaths per year, and about 80% of these occur in children under 5 years of age. Luckily for us in Jamaica, through the success of the immunization program and improved coverage, we hardly see any of these vaccine-preventable diseases here.
This magnanimous achievement took intense efforts from the Ministry of Health. In fact, the transformation began in September 1977 when the expanded program on immunization (EPI) was established in Jamaica.
What the expanded program of immunization has done over the last 30 to 40 years has transformed the health of our young children. Whereas we had epidemics of polio, measles, rubella, congenital rubella syndrome, and other childhood infections, by having high levels of coverage using the standard vaccines that we give in our health services, we've been able to prevent these childhood diseases. So we do have a lot to be proud of.
One merely has to step back in time to the early 1950s to understand the strides made in ensuring that every child is fully immunized. Then, paralytic cases of polio reached epidemic proportions in Jamaica. Few or no children under the age of 4 were immunized. In 1954, the attack rate was about 174 per 100,000.
There were subsequent outbreaks in 1957, 1960, 1964, and 1982.
One of the things that came home to everybody was a wake-up call that we had to implement a full established immunization program as part of our maternal and child health program. And so we began the process of building on that epidemic to systematically develop the program of immunization. The epidemic, in retrospect, was a blessing in disguise because every negative must produce a positive. So the outcomes have been good.
With the introduction of the Salk vaccine, the effects of polio became less lethal, and there has been no record of the disease in Jamaica since 1982.
Before Jamaica implemented the expanded program on immunization in 1977, we used to have a lot of childhood deaths. For every 1,000 newborns each year, about 100 of them would die, mainly from infectious diseases, including those like polio, measles, diphtheria, tetanus, diseases that can be prevented by vaccinations. However, since the implementation of the EPI program and the establishment of routine immunization in children under the age of 7, infectious diseases, in particular the vaccine-preventable diseases, are no longer as common as they used to be before the immunization program was established.
Jamaica's record in immunization is recognized internationally. In 2011, Jamaica was awarded the Pan American Health Organization's Henry C. Smith Immunization Award. The award is given to the Caribbean country that has made the most improvement in its EPI for that year.
We're very proud of the fact that Jamaica got this award in 2011 for showing significant progress with respect to the vaccination program.
The significant reduction in infant and child mortality points to the Ministry of Health's stance in propagating holistic health island-wide. Universal immunization coverage is well within our grasp. If you want to learn more about the immunization program in Jamaica, contact the Ministry of Health at 967-110024 or visit their website, moh.gov.jm.
You may also visit any health center or public hospital close to you. Your doctor's office could also answer your questions about immunization.
Use the JIS Facebook and Twitter pages to share with us the steps you are taking to remain healthy this year. For more information on this and other programs, continue to visit our website and YouTube channel. Tomorrow, the information flows your way once again, so please join us then. I'm Adrian Atkinson. On behalf of the entire production crew, do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.